What's going on, dudes and dudettes? So yes, there has been a lot of speculation about what the Lakers' plans are going to be this offseason, especially during the summer and the next couple of months. There's been a lot of talk that, yes, LeBron James is still going to stay on the team no matter what. He probably won't sign a new deal whenever he has the ability to. I think it's like in August or September. But he will probably go back to what he did in his last couple years in Cleveland, where it was just a 1 year and one like player option year after every year. So basically like a 1 year deal every single year, which kind of sucks. But as of right now, that's probably what he's going to end up doing. So either way, the Lakers kind of have their blueprint or what they could do this summer, especially with other teams that said they want to make trades and maybe change up the roster a bit around the league. So I kind of went through to see what teams would make this possible, especially if a trade would be valid or not. I know a lot of these guys will probably not make sense or definitely not be traded to the Lakers because it just doesn't seem fair. But I did try to make it as, fair as possible from a standpoint of the players involved. But there were some that I just think that even though the trade was valid, I don't think this trade would end up happening at all. But it was kind of fun to see what could and could not happen with these official trades or not. So to get into the first one, yes, I have LeBron James going back to Cleveland, his hometown, where it is a possibility, even though he doesn't really like the owner, Dan Gilbert, a lot and has some stuff to say about him ever since he left the second time. And even Dan Gilbert said he probably would not invite LeBron back anyways, but this is a type of a fairy tale mock situation here. So let's just say that everything is copacetic on both ends and everybody's happy with each other. So yes, LeBron James does go back. He does have a contract in his final year of $44.4 million. It's pretty high. It's the highest on the Lakers, but in order to get that from Cleveland, you kind of had to add the highest paid player on their team, which is Kevin Love, which isn't horrible because he is on, I think it's a 1 year deal. Yeah, it's a 1 year deal and it's 28.9, so it's obviously cheaper. It does suck that he is a bit older, like early 30s, but 1 year deal. Went to UCLA, first time playing back on an LA team, so he might get reinvigorated. He did pretty well for them this year in Cleveland, coming off the bench. Even though he was the highest paid player, they still used him in a pretty good way, and I think if the Lakers do that with him as well, it could be very beneficial for them. And then they would have to also add in, just to make the numbers correct, I kind of chose the guy who I thought could be the better of everybody in Karis LeVert, who's been doing pretty well. He had a couple injuries here and there, but while he was with Brooklyn, he played well. He didn't even get to play with Houston because he got traded to Indiana real quick. But then he got traded to Cleveland pretty much too soon after that. But while at Cleveland the past couple games of the season, he did play pretty well for them. He did score a lot of points, but he has a 1 year deal as well, and he's like in his late 20s, so you can see on this last year of his contract if he does end up showing up good and end up earning a new contract with the Lakers. And if not, then they go into their 2023 off season as they always wanted, with a bunch of cap space to be able to go after anybody, even if especially LeBron James decides to leave next summer. So overall, it is a win-win, and there's probably like a difference about $1 million of cap space. I forget if it was the Lakers are bringing in $1 million or taking out. Plus, I don't know, because there's a lot of things if you do like sign-in trades, and I don't know if you make the money correct, it's still gonna be okay towards the luxury tax or whatever the heck else that NBA teams have to worry about. But as long as the contracts were close enough and it said that the trade was valid on SportRack.com, then I kind of just went with it, because you could have added another player or two, but I just try to make it fair. And then there were two trades I saw you could do with Chicago, because I know obviously Anthony Davis is from there. He might want to play there, so it could be an easier trade destination to send him instead of trying to trade him to a crappier situation or team or market as well. But Chicago isn't a bad place because they do have some pretty talented players out there. But With the first trade, I had them sending both Anthony Davis, who had a $37.9 million contract for at least the next 3 years, and then Talen Horton-Tucker, who has another 2 years left on that deal, but as of next season is starting at $10.2 million, so around 47-ish or $48 million. Then I have them going for the first trade in Nikola Vucevic, obviously the USC guy. He had to throw him in there because he was one of the higher contracts that they had on there, and plus it's kind of like a swapping of the position of Anthony Davis, a power forward / center. He's not as good as Anthony Davis, but playing it with and alongside LeBron could be more beneficial than, say, an Anthony Davis who needs the ball a bit more to dominate to get his numbers. So he's not bad at $22 million, and then we added 3 more players. So Alex Caruso will be coming back to the Lakers from Chicago. He has a $9.03 million deal. Kobe White, the guy on the rookie deal who's been there for a couple years, he's at 7.4, and I think it's either the following season after you get him or the 2 seasons from there is where you have to either send him a qualifying offer or extend him on his deal. It might be actually this summer where you can extend him to a bigger deal, but he hasn't made any All-NBA teams, so you won't have to give him that extension if you don't want to. And then also, pretty good wing type of player who showed that he could play that position, especially like a 3-and-D type of player very well in the Eastern Conference, was Javonte Green. And he's only at like a $1.8 million deal, and I don't even think it's like fully guaranteed, so you could end up taking him off the books at some point or even trading him, and won't really cost you that much. So that's not bad for the first type of trade from Chicago. It wasn't that crazy. There was a crazier one where I did Nikola Vucevic and DeMar DeRozan, and you could just trade Anthony Davis and THT, which I thought was a bit unfair, especially because I think if that case, I think the Lakers might have to include some of those first round picks in the future. Maybe they might get one sooner, but I think if you send AD in the main part of the deal, you might get a couple more draft picks back instead of the other way around by stealing some more better players from Chicago. But speaking of DeMar DeRozan, yes, another ex-USC player. I had him the main centerpiece to be trading with Chicago. So still AD and his 37 point whatever, and THT with his little bit over $10 million contract. But you get DeMar DeRozan at $27.3 million, which ain't too bad. But then the same people, you get Caruso, Kobe White, and Javonte Green. Kobe White showed he could play in spots here and there at the point guard, shooting guard position. He still is on a rookie deal, so you can still have him at a pretty young age for the next couple years. So it's not too bad to look at him. And like I said, Javonte Green, I like his 3-and-D capabilities, and also Caruso. You already know what he can do, obviously being an ex-Laker, which is pretty nice. So overall, it's not that bad because they save about $5 million on that trade, the Lakers do, which is pretty nice. So it might help with luxury tax. I know with the Vucevic trade, they saved about like $10 million as well. So maybe they would have to take in another player for Chicago to make that deal okay, or they would just have that extra bit of money to pay for their luxury taxes. So either way, it was nice. I did not include a trade because it was hard to think about a trade with Zach LaVine, who is becoming a free agent, I believe, this offseason or this summer. But obviously I would like him on the Lakers, but it's kind of hard because I think you would have to do a sign-in trade with them, and that definitely kicks in a higher level of the luxury tax. So the Lakers are definitely going to be paying a lot higher if they do that, I believe. So it is tougher to get him. It is possible, especially if you trade out like another player or two, if you do end up sending Anthony Davis out there. But you definitely still will have to try to get Vucevic or DeMar DeRozan in that deal, I believe, because when you're taking on that sign-in trade, that's going to be quite a bit of a luxury tax bill. So I'm hoping that's what could happen. But yeah, Zach LaVine there would not be too bad. Then another trade was with Atlanta, because I know they've been putting out stuff here and there that they were unhappy that they made the Eastern Conference Finals a year ago, and then this year they could even, I did they get into the finals? Or I'm sorry, the playoffs? I think they did with the last spot, but they couldn't even get past the first round. So they definitely want to make some wholesale changes. And once again, you include 80's 3 years left on his deal with that 37 point whatever. Then THT, just throwing him in there because I don't really like him. But also, if you add in a $10 million deal, you could get some pretty good guys back from what I saw. So that's why he's pretty much included in all these. But to get a couple guys, because you can't really take Trae Young, obviously, or certain players. So I went with John Collins, who is just basically going to be starting his second year of his big deal. So you'll probably still have him for 4 more years. But that's only at like 23.5, which is pretty good. Then the Lakers will try to get also Bogdan Bogdanovic, who they were trying to get a couple of off seasons ago. But now they finally get him in this deal to help with the money because he's getting around $18 million. So that will help out a lot. He is a little bit older, but he still has a couple years left on his contract. And then they also add another ex-USC guy in Onyeka Okongwu, who is on his rookie deal. You could extend him if you need to in the next couple years, but you probably won't have to because he's not going to make an all-NBA team. So he's still going to have a pretty cheap deal at the end of his rookie contract, which is nice. But he comes back home, and it's a very athletic power forward / center you can use, whether off the bench or even starting for you. And especially pairing up all those guys to play with LeBron would be pretty nice because he can definitely work off them, and they don't need the ball to be highly productive as well. But maybe Bogdan Bogdanovic, but he showed that he could play the secondary like shooting guard, catch and shoot type of role as well. So either way, I think that'll be a pretty nice haul for the Lakers. Maybe a couple of first round swap draft picks here and there to help sweeten the deal. But yeah, I'd imagine Trae Young and AD in Atlanta would be nice. I think Atlanta would be more desperate to make that deal so they can have some type of big-time talent there to keep Trae Young, even though I'm pretty sure he already signed his long-term deal, but to at least keep him for a couple more years into that contract. Excuse me. So it should be very interesting. So yeah, overall, not that bad of a haul with these mock trades for the Lakers, especially if they want to give up LeBron James or if he decides to want to leave. It'll be tough to do it with other teams like the Knicks or I don't know. I try to find places for LeBron where he would want to go, maybe destination, but it was just kind of too difficult. So I kind of just chose the main one, Cleveland, just because I knew that one could work for Lakers and it was still beneficial for them because then they could make moves in the 2023 summer as well. So probably in the next couple of days, I'll end up doing a video where there were the trades that definitely seem that they're not going to get done, but through Sport Track, and they said that the trade was valid, so I accepted it, but you're going to have to see it to believe it because some of these were pretty interesting and outlandish trades that I don't think would happen. There's a team on there that I probably would not have trade with, but it works, and I think it would help out if LeBron was still on the team. So yes, thanks for watching, people. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.